Donald Trump met with some CEOs, including those who work in the manufacturing industry, and they brought up a concern that Trump doesn't seem to talk about a lot when it comes to jobs in the United States. Now, apparently one executive said the following: the jobs are there, but the skills are not. So this executive was unnamed by the Associated Press because the AP was able to report on this story and this meeting on the condition that they would protect the anonymity of some of the CEOs. So they're like, you always talk about us shipping jobs abroad, but that's not really the problem. We have a lot of jobs that are unfilled here in the U.S., but we just don't have the skilled, employees for those jobs. So government figures show that there are 324,000 open factory jobs nationwide, triple the number in 2009 during the depths of the recession. So I want to hold for a second, right? So we keep seeing that the economy, through Obama's administration, even though it wasn't like a gigantic, improvement all at once, we did see a slow and steady improvement in the economy under the Obama administration. And so the numbers would prove it, but then people living in middle America didn't feel the benefits of an improved economy. And so I didn't understand what that disconnect was. And then you see this number. These are factory jobs, 324,000 unfilled factory jobs, right? These jobs weren't created under Trump's watch. He's only been in office for a couple weeks, right? This happened under the Obama administration, clearly. And the reason why they're not filled is because we don't have the skilled workers to fill them. Why don't we have the skilled workers? I don't know, maybe because education has been shit on by everyone, including the same rural Americans who ended up voting for Trump. So we need education. We need to value education. We need to push for policies that allow people to get an education without going into a huge amount of debt. Vocational schools that aren't like for-profit colleges that screw you over. Those are the things that we need to focus on. But no, everyone is just lied to and told, oh, your jobs have all been shipped abroad. We never talk about automation, and we never talk about, these unfilled jobs that require skilled labor.
Yeah, this is eye-opening, and I think, to your point, one of the CEOs had said that even, yes, one being vocational training, they need additional vocational training. Also, a lot of the candidates that are coming out of high school and have degrees, some even with college degrees, they do not have the math and English skills to be able to fulfill this job that they need. And as you stated, that underscores our educational system.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So yesterday we talked about a story where there's also 200,000 construction jobs that are open. But I think it's a combination of factors. So the ones you guys talked about, obviously true about education, but also there's just the inability to travel and get to where the jobs are. So there's a ton of people in the country who would love those jobs, because I know that. I mean, we went and, one, it's obvious. Two, our reporters now all over the country talking to these folks. And so I remember the guys who were working at the burger joint up in the Northwest that Jordan talked to. When Jordan asked him what your dream job is, he hadn't bothered to dream of a job better than flipping burgers. And that's because he had such little opportunity. He would take one of those jobs. It's a much better paying job, the factory job, et cetera. Nick Smith down in Virginia, he's working at Waffle House trying to get them to increase their wages because that's all he's got. Now, when you have these jobs, I don't know, there's some disconnect here, whether it's a matter of they're in the wrong place and or maybe they haven't advertised them well enough, or maybe for some crazy reason they don't want to fill them. But there's something wrong here in the country, that we've got a lot of people who would love these jobs, and yet, just in factories and construction alone, that's 500,000 unfilled jobs that are pretty good jobs.
Yeah. Look, construction is a skilled job, right? Construction's difficult. It is a skilled job. And so it doesn't necessarily surprise me that we have, hundreds of thousands of those jobs that are unfilled. But also think about the fact that a lot of the factory jobs that don't require a lot of skill have been replaced by literal robots that, corporations don't have to pay any money to. So of course they're going to use the technology because they don't want to pay the employees. Now there are certain jobs that you cannot employ a robot for. You need actual workers, and those workers need skills. And so you're right. I'm sure that there's an issue in terms of location and the ability to move around and actually work at one of these places. But I think that these CEOs brought up a really interesting component of a story that we never hear about, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I do know that there's no simplistic answers. It's not a matter of, okay, we build a wall and hence we have more jobs, or we raise tariffs and hence we have more jobs. It's got to be a holistic solution, and you got to think this through and figure out how do you match the people to the jobs. I don't know that even if you're a right winger, you really think that the guy we got in charge is sophisticated enough to do that holistic look at this issue and really get you to the jobs? Maybe you do.
I mean, he's like a smart person.
He said that many times. He's like a smart person.
Bigly.
So I guess we're covered.
By the way, one final quote that I want to read to you from the CEO of Dow Chemical. So he was apparently comfortable being identified. He said, all the CEOs are very encouraged by the pro-business policies of the president. Some of us have said this is probably the most pro-business administration since the founding fathers.
By the way, the founding fathers warned us about big business all the time.
Exactly. I just thought that was an interesting statement.
Like, if you read all of them, Jefferson, Hamilton, even Washington, they're like, watch out for corporations. They will eventually take over. They knew it all the way back then.
Yeah.
So, and all the guys, the CEOs that are comfortable with Trump and their stocks are rising, the oil companies, the private prisons, et cetera, be careful what you wish for. This is a sugar high.
Yeah.
And then once the bill comes due, there's a crash coming.
Yep.
Yeah, there have been a lot of pieces written about, you know, the state of the stock market and how there is that sugar high. And I don't know, we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I guarantee you that movie does not end well. Get the full 2-hour show ad-free. Become a member, tytnetwork.com/join.